So when you're finding the equation of a line through 2 points, first thing you need to know is the 2 points. So sometimes they directly give you the 2 points, sometimes they make you find the 2 points from a graph. So in this problem we have to determine the 2 points on our own. So this looks like 1, 2, 3, and 6. So we have 1 point at 3, 6. And then we have another one at looks like -5 and -6. Once we have our 2 points, we need to find the slope between those 2 points. We have to recall that our equation for slope is m is equal to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. What I like to do is label this. So we'll call this point 1. So this would be x1. This would be y1. So this is our second point. So this would be our second x, so x2 and y2. Then we go back to the actual formula and we just substitute the values in. So y2 would be -6 minus y1, which would be 6. And then x2 is -5 and x1 would be 3. We do the subtraction here, we get -12 over -8. Negative divided by negative is a positive, so we know this is going to be a positive answer, but then we can actually divide and simplify here. 4 goes into both of these numbers, so 12 divided by 4 would be 3, and 8 divided by 4 would be 2. So we have a slope of 3/2. From here we use the y is equal to mx plus b formula to find our y-intercept. Let's go ahead and label what each of these things is. So the y here is the y-coordinate of any point on the line. So this is the y-coordinate. The m is the slope, and then the x would be our x-coordinate of any point on the line. So we have these pairs that would go in here of all the points on the line that make this equation true. And finally, b is our y-intercept. And the y-intercept is simply the point at which our line crosses the y-axis. So this is the y-intercept. You should never guess what this value is. You always work it out algebraically. So to figure out what this y-intercept is, because we have points for x and y, we just found out the slope. We just need to figure out this y-intercept. So we just need to do a little algebraic manipulation. So we could use either point. I'm going to use this point here because the numbers are positive and they're just easier to work with. So the y-coordinate is 6. The x-coordinate of this point is, the slope is 3/2. And the x-coordinate is 3. Plus b, which is what we're trying to find, or the y-intercept. So we can multiply 3/2 times 3. You multiply a fraction times a whole number, you just need to multiply the numerator times the whole number. So that's going to give us 6 equals 9 over 2 plus b. Next we're going to need to isolate the b, so we're going to have to subtract the 9/2 from both sides. What happens is on the right side is the 9/2 cancel and we're left with the actual b. So now to figure out b, we just need to subtract 6 minus 9/2. So I'm going to come over here on the side and do it. So 6 minus 9/2. Okay, we can turn the 6 into a fraction by putting it over 1. Now we need a common denominator when we subtract fractions. Common denominator is 2, so we need to multiply this denominator by 2, but if you do something to the denominator, it must also be done to the numerator, so that's going to give us 12 halves minus 9 halves, and that equals 3 halves. So the y-intercept is 3 over 2. This tells us that our line crosses this y-axis at 3 over 2 on the y-axis. So finally, to write the final equation of the line, we just need to substitute what we know m and b to be. So we need to leave the y and the x alone and just substitute in for m and b. So y equals, m was 3 halves, x stays x, and then plus b. So our b was 3 halves. And that would be the equation of the line.